Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. It's a Thursday morning, which means that we have a great show lined up for you. We'll have some recruiting with MaX Recruiting here in just a moment. That's at Max_recruiting. We also talked about kicking a few of the things down the road from yesterday. So we'll turn today into a toss-up Thursday. The playbook has, would you rather, if you could have a toss-up, would you rather have Alabama's offense score a touchdown first or the defense get a turnover first? Would you rather have the offense score 60 plus, or would you rather have a shootout? What about if you're watching the defense, would you rather have the guy sack the quarterback or one of them crush a running back for a tackle for a loss? What's your keys to victory? We'll talk about that. If we don't get to that, we'll kick it to tomorrow, because tomorrow will be all about Alabama versus Middle Tennessee State. We'll get score predictions on tomorrow. If you want to call up and give one today, you're welcome to do so. Alabama wins if, and of course, we'll look around the SEC. But with that said, we got some recruiting news that we want to break here in just a moment. Not break, but share with you. But before we do that, I want to remind you that this is the day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Well, we got some big news, not necessarily breaking news, but big news. You kind of hinted at it last week. But before we do that, let's listen to a clip about the tight end room, and then tell me if you're shocked about the news coming out of Patrician Academy.
How has Danny Lewis Jr. looked at tight end, and do you see him more as a flex out type tight end or more of a traditional Y type?
He's probably more of a traditional Y type, although, we've got, 4 or 5 tight ends that we think can provide some kind of, ability to contribute in their own way to what we can do, run or pass. So, but Danny is more the traditional inline guy, but they all play both positions, and he'll have some opportunity to do that as well.
Kelly?
That was Coach Nick Saban responding to the question about Danny Lewis. Another tight end committing. Alabama's tight end room. I know we talk about the running back room being deep. We talk about there being the killer bees and a lot of guys in the wide receiver room. I'm not sure that in the quarterback having 5 quarterbacks, I'm not sure this tight end room X isn't really, really deep. And we just don't know how experienced. And that was a question about Danny Lewis, a guy who was a late commit, a 3-star guy who was committed to Cincinnati. We got ready to play Cincinnati, and then he decommitted from Cincinnati, teased Brian Kelly, and made everybody think he was going to go to LSU, and committed to Alabama, and has gotten bigger. I've heard a little faster, a little stronger, and he's a traditional guy, but athletic enough to move out. What is Alabama getting in Patrician Academy's tight end to add to this room that really doesn't lose anybody unless somebody has a breakout season.
Yeah, as you said, Jay Lindsey, 3-star tight end out of Patrician Academy, committed to the Crimson Tide on Tuesday, and he'd been committed to Mississippi State for a little bit, but Bama started pushing it for him heavy. He's kind of been a late bloomer. He's a young man that plays at the Alabama school association level, so the lower level of football, but he is an absolute unit at that level. The only tight end Nick Saban's ever had that was the first round draft pick, OJ Howard, Ataga Academy, same AISA level. No, he's a very talented young man, and more of that traditional inline tight end. He's 6'5", about 235, 240 right now. We have Caleb Odom, 4-star out of Georgia, who's kind of that flex tight end that you can move around. But Jay Lindsey is someone that can bring in and do the things that Danny Lewis is doing right now, that CJ Dupree is doing, while you have Caleb Odom, who's more of the Amari Knoblack, the guy that you can flex out, move around, stick him out at wide receiver, and be a true mismatch nightmare. But he's a very talented young man and a big gift for Alabama. Alabama has a ton of 3-stars, but don't let those stars fool you on the talent level that they're bringing in.
Yeah, a couple things in terms of the tight end from Patrician Academy. He's the size of an inline guy, but he's being compared to Drew Sanders, and he's being compared to not from a size standpoint, but from an athletic standpoint, to Georgia's all-world tight end. So is he going to be a more of a smaller grunt version that can really be good on the blocking, but when you put him out in space, he's big enough that he just creates such a mismatch?
Well, I mean, you look at where Tommy Reese came from and the history that they have at tight end. And if you look at Jay Lindsey, like that's the mode that he fits. The most recent of the Michael Mayers, but you go back to the Cal Rudolphs and George Carlsons and guys like that they've had over the last 15 years or so. And that's what I think he can become, especially with a guy like head coach. I mean, as his offensive coordinator, who maybe I'm just a little prophetic there, but no, I think that's the kind of the mold that he fits is what we've seen from the traditional Notre Dame tight end over the last 15 years or so.
Yeah, and when you look at this guy, he can be a special type player, and adds to a really, really deep tight end room. And maybe it speaks even more to where Alabama wants to go offensively with the tight end room. So kudos to him. And one last thing is Nick Saban signed yet another 3-star, but it's an Alabama kid. So is Nick Saban trying to find some of that magic? He's only had 2 undefeated teams. One of them was the recruiting class, was filled with a bunch of recruits he didn't recruit, which was a bunch of Alabama kids and kids who grew up wanting to play. Either they were Alabama kids or they were regional kids who grew up wanting to play for the Crimson Tide in that 2009 team, mixed in with some national guys and some 5-stars. Is this yet another example of Nick Saban saying, you know what? I need to get some guys that want to wear this crimson jersey. I'm gonna go out the way I came in with some old school blue collar guys mixed in with some of this super talent, because these guys want to come in and work their way into being great and not necessarily coming in expecting the NIL money, expecting to play day one, willing to work and learn my process. Is that Nick Saban's? Is that's what's happening? Because it seems like we've signed a lot more 3-stars early in the process than we ever have.
No, we really have. When you look at what Coach Saban is doing, this is a class that I think the most he's ever signed before is 4 3-stars. He's got 7 committed right now, and of the last 5 classes, he signed a total. I think the last 5 classes signed 1 3-star. 2022, 2023, and 2019 had a total of 3 3-stars. So, yeah, I mean, he's doing something a little different, but I've said it over the last few weeks. I think it's more of going back to the roots of how he started at Bama with his recruiting process. He's getting, in-state kids that grew up with for Alabama. And these in-state kids have seen Alabama win. This isn't, the 2008, 2009, where those guys grew up how I did when Alabama wasn't very good. These young men have gotten to see Alabama win 6 national championships in the course of their young lives, and total of 9. So these guys really want to be here. They want to come in and they want to compete. And I think you'll see these guys stick around. As you said, they're not here for the NIL money. They're not here just to make it to the league, but it's the passion and the prestige of wearing that crimson and white jersey. So I think this is going back to the basics, especially from the recruiting standpoint. Get your 5 stars, get your 4 stars, but get kids that really want to wear that crimson and white.
Yeah, and I talked about KPIs all off season, and one of those was development of players, and it looks like Nick Saban is making a recommitment to that process, because when you sign 3-star guys, you're saying that my coaching staff, my strength program, my nutrition program, my process will move these guys from where they are in high school and where they're ranked to have them ready to be able to contribute on a national championship level. So we will definitely talk more recruiting on the other side. If you want to get in on the conversation, 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, open for business. As we go to break there, I want to remind you about Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. Been doing it the right way, consistent way for 40-plus years and counting. Make them your choice for lunch and or dinner. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a couple of wrecks to start the morning. One 2059 eastbound near exit 17 at York. Another one on Alabama 216 at Cabin Creek Drive out in Abernathy. If you see other conditions, just give me a call. $7,000 off every in-stock Titan, Titan XD, and Armada. Now through Thursday at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. And I'm Captain Ray.
Barry Buckner here for Tuscaloosa Hyundai, and we want you to win. That alone sets us apart in the shopping process. But more importantly is what Tuscaloosa Hyundai does to make it happen. For sure and for certain, you will never see add-on price side stickers that inflate the price of a vehicle for no good reason. Other dealers did it during the pandemic. Most still are. We're proud to say never any add-on side stickers at Tuscaloosa Hyundai. Our value price process ensures an even playing field. All the cards on the table, however you want to put it. Tuscaloosa Hyundai wants you to win. As dealer principal, I want you to be sure of one thing. It will be obvious Tuscaloosa Hyundai wants you to win. This is where having satisfied customers starts. And delivering on this promise is how we keep so many repeat customers. If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to save, that's our business. Tuscaloosa Hyundai, corner of Skyland and Hargrove, TuscaloosaHyundai.com.
Take a moment and think of one thing that you really wanted to do recently, but you didn't because your foot, leg, or back pain got in the way. Hi, it's Dan from the Good Feet store, and that's why we're here, to help you get back out there. Good Feet arch supports from the Good Feet store. They're designed to alleviate foot, knee, hip, and back pain, plus provide improved balance, more comfort, and, well, a better life. Try them for yourself with a free arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Visit us at 1800 McFarland Boulevard or goodfeet.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly sunny and less humid today. The high in the upper 80s, around 88. Mostly fair tonight, the low 69. For tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds with a chance of a few passing showers or thunderstorms. The high in the mid-80s at 84. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 66 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
It's probably too early to tell. I like, as I've said in here before, some of the guys on the team in terms of being leaders, impacting other players, sort of trying to get people to adhere to the standard of how we'd like to do things, whether it's practice, meetings, whatever. But that's a huge responsibility, and not everybody's up for it, but I like some of the guys that we have this year that are trying to do it, and they've done a pretty good job of it. But you never know what the impact of all these things are until you start playing games. And even when you start playing games, you don't know how it's going to sustain itself throughout the season. So these kind of questions are something that are better answered, at the end of the year, not the beginning.
That's Coach Nick Saban talking about the leadership council. Interesting thought. Better answered at the end of the year versus the beginning of the year. No, I think it's better answered at the beginning of the year and then confirmed at the end of the year, right? Right, X, you want to know that you have leadership going into the season, or at least you hope that guys have shown themselves. Oh, isn't that what we've been trying to talk about from the quarterbacks, that they show themselves as a leader and a separator? Oh, never mind. I'm not going to get on the quarterback situation. All right, Pat, you're in with Martin and Xavier with MaX Recruiting. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, guys. That Butler, Alabama, that question is, did Nick Saban convince this young man that he'd just recently gone down to Georgia and snatched an all-world tight end from Kirby Smart and just slapped Kirby right upside the head when he did it? But did he convince this young man from Butler that, hey, we might even use you as a wide receiver? And how did he convince this young man to come to Alabama after he'd just taken Cable?
Right after he take a visit to Georgia?
No, what I said is Nick had just gone to Georgia and brought in an all-world tight end, and how did he convince this young man from Butler to switch over to Alabama?
X, I have a thought, but I'll let X respond first.
Well, I think Tommy Rees is a huge part of why Jay Lindsey is now a part of this Crimson Tide class. I mean, he was going to Mississippi State. They haven't had a tight end in a few years, but with the new coaching staff, we're going to bring that back. But no, I mean, I think when you look at what Tommy Rees has done, the track record that he has of tight ends, Michael Mayer, Tommy Trimble are just two right off the top of the head that were second and third round picks in the last two drafts. Why would you not come? And then you look at the success that Alabama has had at tight end anyway. OJ round pick, Irv Smith Jr., Cam Letou, third round picks. I mean, Alabama's put tight ends in the league, and then you bring in a guy that has an offense that really utilizes tight ends come in. He's been to practices. He's going to be at the game this Saturday. He's going to get to see these guys up front and in person and see how to use them throughout the course of the season, and it's really intriguing.
Yeah, Pat, Pat, I think it has everything to do with, Pat, if I come to you as a businessman and I tell you that I need you to give me money based on what I want to do. Hey, Pat, I have this awesome investment. If you invest in it and you become a part of it, we're going to do this, this, and this, right? That gets you intrigued. Yeah. Or if I say, hey, look what we've done in the past, blah, 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 that doesn't sell you quite as much, right? So Mississippi State, they have a coach who's trying to sell his vision. Georgia, they don't. Bobo has a past in how he's used tight ends, and it doesn't speak to the same past that Monken did. Okay, so you don't know what Georgia's going to do. Mm-hmm. Tommy Rees has a past and says, now I'm bringing that past to the future of Alabama's tight end room. And that kid's like, that's the room I want to be in. So I think without a doubt, he sold him on a vision. People give to vision, not to debt, or give to the future, not to the past. And I think Tommy Rees just sold him that we're going to have 2-3 tight ends on the field at one time. And you can be a part of that. And then the other part of that is guys are beginning to figure out that the NFL stands for not for long. And the way you get from not for long to for a long time is don't use up all your football in college. Don't get beat up in college. And then you can extend your NFL career. So I think that's what guys are learning about the game.
Okay. And I also understand more. You touched on a little bit earlier. You mentioned Drew Sanders. I'm understanding that this young man is also shines. Of course, it's hard to say about where he's playing at. At the level he's playing at. But I understand that he's a very big fish in a little pond on defense also.
Yeah. Well, Pat, I'll say this, and to me, Drew Sanders is in the same vein as from a small school. I mean, I'm sorry. Lindsey is in the same vein in some ways as Derrick Henry was. He is so much better than everybody else that it's obvious he's talented. You see what I'm saying? Like when I came to Alabama, they were like, well, the only reason you were any good at running back is because you were 250-pound tailback in a 4A school and you were bigger than your lineman, and the question they had about me was I physical? So there may be a few questions that they can't answer, but they can see everything else. In the upside, if that question is answered, the upside is tremendous with the Lindsey kid. FYI, Pat, just FYI, I'm calling Friday Night Rivals football games on Channel 68 on out of Birmingham. And so I'm calling Pinson Valley and McAdory. So I'm going to check out this tight end you keep referencing. And I
don't know if we got enough room for him unless he's a gray shirt. I don't know.
Well, hey, listen, Pat. If he's all that you say, if he's all that you say he is, he might find himself at left tackle.
Martin, you can't coach 6'7", Martin. You just can't coach it. You either got it or you don't.
That's my point. If he's 6'7", 250 pounds, you probably can put another 45, 50 pounds on him, and he'll be a lean, mean left tackle machine. We got to get to the next caller, Pat. But you got anything else for us?
Have a blessed weekend, guys.
All right. Hey,
hopefully we can get you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye. Blind Squirrel Sports said, felt like he slapped me right upside the head too, Pat. I was hoping Caleb Downs would be a dog. He thought that Caleb would choose the dogs, but he didn't. We haven't talked much recruiting, X, but we do have another call. Let me see. We got Thad. Thad, you're in. I'm not sure if that has a recruiting question or not, but we'll talk it and we'll flip the recruiting to the other next segment if we need to. Thad, what's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Martin. I don't really have a recruiting question, but I'm real happy about Lindsey. I went to Sumter Academy, which is shut down now. So
yeah,
he's about 30 minutes from me. So I'm really glad we got him. But what I was going to ask you is, in general, What are you expecting this season from this team?
You know, I think that the negativity, history says that when you doubt Nick Saban and his team, they come together. Okay. So I don't expect that to be any different. But I think this team has it even more because the other teams in the past, they've had the doubt, but they've also um, um, had more surety coming into that third year. In other words, people have written teams off before that, but this team is
Right.
being written off. But this team has more question marks. I put that in air quotes. And the only question mark this team has, I tell people often, if we had a quarterback, if we had take any quarterback from the past, or if we only had seen Jalen Milroe play against Arkansas and never saw him play against Texas A&M, how different will we feel about this team? And to me, if you can totally write a kid off because he played, in people's opinion, not mine, played bad against Texas A&M, why come you can't do the exact same thing and say, well, when he came in and just showed pure talent, pure natural ability against Arkansas, he lit it up. So that's the approach I take. I take the approach that coaching hurt him more than he doesn't have ability, because the game that he didn't get prepared for and they had to lean on his ability, he played well. The week that they had to get him ready, the coaches didn't. So I look at this team and go, I think we're better defensively. I think we're better in the offensive line. I think we're better wide receiver. I think we're better in the running back room. I think we're better in the tight end room. The only question that I have that going into this season is, can the quarterback play winning football? And I think the answer to that is yes. So I see this as a team that's hungry, that's been pushed into a corner, that has talent, and that I think will respond this year and get Alabama to the level that we expect them to be.
I feel the same way.
Go ahead, X.
And that when
Go
you
ahead.
listen to the leaders of this team, when you listen to the J.C. Lathams, the Kool-Aid McKinstry's, the Dallas Turners, those guys that are the face of this team, listen to the way that they talk. Listen to the passion and the motivation that they have. That's going to pour into the other guys around them, become type of leaders that I feel that they are, that I believe that they are. And this is a team that is not going to back down from any challenge. And they're going to go out and they're going to be physical. They're going to be mean. They're going to hit you in the mouth. They're not going to let what's going on outside of that building dictate how they believe the season goes. They believe that they're one of the best teams in the country, and I think they're going to play like that.
I agree with both of y'all. I agree with both of y'all. And I think all the doubt is, to me, it's like, it's just because of we don't know. It's like, but there's plenty of talent on this. I mean, and like you say, when Nick Saban gets doubted and that team gets doubted, it's usually not a good outcome for other teams.
And I, like I said, and I'll close this, that I think this team they don't want to be the ones that ends the streak. Nick Saban has never recruited a 3-year player that didn't win a national title. Kool-Aid McKinstry, J.C. Latham, and others don't want to be the first ones. And is that enough? I don't know, but it's another added incentive to a really, really talented team. And I think people want to be right that the Saban era is over. So when they see a chink, they want to jump on it and they want to hone in on it. So eventually they're going to be right. Someday Nick Saban is going to lose it. Okay. But I don't think this is the year. So, all right.
I think they've just made Mike Tyson mad, pretty much.
Hopefully so. Hopefully so, Thad. Appreciate it, man.
But anyway, I got one more thing.
Go ahead.
Your show and the Miller's Edge, I wish would last 2 hours.
I received that and I appreciate that compliment.
So anyway,
Hey,
I just want to get in there. All right, we'll talk to y'all later.
thanks,
Roll.
Roll Tide. That's that. Hey, if you got a call, come on in. We're going to keep recruiting. Xavier got a couple more things you want to update us on. Remember, it's a toss-up Thursday. We got a couple questions we can get to. We'll also have free-for-all Friday, but tomorrow we'll talk about keys to victory. We'll talk about score predictions. We'll talk about Alabama wins. If you can be a part of that conversation, you can always be a part of the conversation, 205-342-9904, or post your thoughts, comments, and your questions in the chat, and we'll work it into the conversation.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks at the moment, and traffic fairly light around the area. Now, if you do see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. $7,000 off every in-stock Titan, Titan XD, and Armada. Now through Thursday at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. And I'm Captain Ray.
We said 1,500 hours.
Dax's hangar flies high thanks to his military precision.
Rob, you copy?
He wants to land some aircraft mechanics, preferably with a military background.
Okay, I wasn't aware of a new timeline.
Cancel. Stand by for new assignment.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do.
Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If you're a homeowner or business owner and need glass installation, sales, or repair, call 345-3511 and talk to the glass pros at Alabama Central Glass. They specialize in beveled mirrors, window glass, furniture tops, insulated glass replacement, storefronts, shower doors, tub enclosures, and acrylic. So if you need glass installation, sales, or repair, call 345-3511 or visit the Alabama Central Glass Showroom at 3878 Greensboro Avenue, Tuscaloosa.
A Rottweiler named Whiskey with hours to live brought back to full health. A terrier named Snoopy, paralyzed in all four legs, who ran and played again within months. These dogs are known as Marty's Miracles. Dogs brought back to health by Dr. Marty Goldstein.
I've helped countless dogs thrive with one simple concept. Your dog needs a high-meat diet similar to what their ancestors ate in the wild.
Called the Miracle Worker by Forbes magazine, he's now created a premium dog food for you called Nature's Blend. It's the easiest way to support your dog's easy digestion, nourished skin, playful energy, and most importantly, their healthy, full life. For a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get free premium dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
I think, Deontay's done a really, really good job. He's kind of taken over the signal caller duties for which I think is, a huge responsibility, but yet something that is probably the most important thing, especially for the front seven in terms of alignment, adjustment, calls that need to get made, whether you're pressuring or getting lined up the right way to play, whether it's to or away from the back. And a lot of guys, they're a little apprehensive about taking on that responsibility, and he's very confident in it. He's done a great job of it. He's played really well, set a great example in terms of how he practices, how he plays, how he communicates. And I think that's been, a significant improvement in how we played up front on defense. And it'll be important that we can continue that throughout the season.
That's Coach Nick Saban talking about Deontay Lawson. I will tell you, Bama fans, whether you know it or not, that may be the most important piece of audio you've heard all year. Maybe the most important piece of audio you heard all year. I'm probably gonna have Noah play that again. But here's Todd. He has a recruiting question. Then we're going to talk about the visitors coming in this weekend. Todd, you're in on the Alabama One hotline with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, Martin and Xavier. And it's a beautiful day. How far apart is a 3-star from a 4-star, 2-star from a 4-star? You mentioned yesterday, Jalen Miro, quoted that, he was the fastest player on the team, but, he's right there. The other boys are right there with him, so they're really, really close. There's something special about finding that you can't put a star on passion for the game, heart, desire. You can't put a star on that. And that's what Nick Saban is good at. There's something special about, hey, I've been blessed to be able to be a part of some of the highest level of competitive football in my life. And there's something special about taking a rat pack bunch of little 10-year-olds. After the first practice, I went home and told my son, I said, we're not going to win a game. This is awful. We're terrible. And those boys went on to play a season and be undefeated. The look on those boys' face that should have been wiped off the field by the Goliath teams that they played is priceless. The passion, the desire those boys had for the game. So these boys that's coming in, it's contagious for this Alabama team. Coach Saban let's just face it, guys. He uses Alabama as a tool to do his passion, his love for these boys that he's bringing in. And these players that gets bought in, like Xavier said, to wear that Alabama Crimson jersey, man, I'm going to tell you what, I believe they're coming because they see the heart that Saban has for them. Coaching, what is it, guys? What is it? It's taking a player further than he can go himself. And it's like finding that diamond in the rough, man. And when you get that, it's a special season. And I'm praying that Coach Saban has found these diamond in the roughs, and these guys just go out and play together as one in unison. And it's going to be a beautiful season, man. There'll be some highs, there'll be some lows. Season, you can't go through a season without not one low. So, I'm excited for the season, guys. But my question is, how do you separate that 3 from 4-star when really inside he's probably a 5-star, Martin?
X.
It's really simple. For a lot of the times, it's what school you go to. Do you go to camps? And that's really it. Like a lot of times, that's what it is. That's what separates a 3-star from a 4-star, and sometimes a 4-star from a 5-star. Now, granted, you're only going to have 32, sometimes 35, 5. And what that is, for those who don't know, is it's guys that they projected being potential first-round draft picks. Those are your 5-stars. That's why you have that 32, sometimes 35, 5-stars. You're never going to have more than that. But with a 4-star, and so at that point, it's just who do you like more? And sometimes it's what school you go to. But that's really the difference between a 3 and a 4 is what school you go to. William Sanders, who's at Brookwood High School, which is just a few minutes down the road from my house. He is a 4-star talent, but because of the school he goes to, he's a 3-star. Justin Okoronkwo, who's from Germany, is probably a 4 or 5-star talent, but because he's playing football over in Germany, he's a 3-star. This works. Sometimes your name can give you a bump. Sometimes your name can hurt you. Dre Kirkpatrick. He's a 3-star. I saw clips from this past Friday. He had 2 interceptions. Kid's a playmaker, but he's not as good as his dad. So sometimes that hurts you. It's a lot of factors that go into it, and sometimes it's because of the area that you grow up in. Jay Lindsey. If Jay Lindsey was at a 5A, 6A school, he's a 5-star tight end. That's just how it works.
Yeah, and I will say this, Todd, then I'll let you go. Will Anderson was a 4-star until they saw him at, I can't remember if it was the Under Armour, I think it was or one of the All-Star games. And then everybody said, oh, they said he's getting a Bama bump. No, everybody sees that Will Anderson was a 5-star, but Will Anderson didn't go to camps. So the number one reason there's a gap between 4 and 5 stars is 4 letters, CAMP, camp. A lot of times because guys, these recruiters can't see everybody. So when they see the guys in camp, they fall in love with them. their camps. They fall in love with them. And so that's part of where it comes from. That's one of the biggest things where it comes from. And then to Xavier's point, if they've played against really good talent, that bumps them. If they haven't, then at least question marks. But the reason Nick Saban can take a 3-star or 4-star when other people aren't is because he generally doesn't offer unless he sees them in camp. So sometimes he sees guys in camp that they can only go to 1 or 2 camps. So the other part that makes you sometimes a 4-star versus a 5-star or vice versa is money or coaches. If you don't have the money or you don't have the coaches who can get you to the camps, then you don't get that bump either. So, and remember that the people who are rating these players, they're selling you guys magazines and recruiting services and all of that stuff too. So thanks, Todd. But you can't measure heart and you can't measure desire, and Saban has figured it out. But Todd, I will say this as we get ready to go to break, and Robert, hang on, we'll get you on the other side after we get a few comments from Xavier. Robert, because I want to give you time to have your point. But Todd, I'll say this. Even with all of that said, Nick Saban has made a concerted effort. And so I think it's a system process change that he has made. 7 guys in one class, he's intentionally getting guys that he can develop that I think will have loyalty to this program. You can't go from 1 year or 3-year period where you sign, 5 or 6 guys or maybe less, and then in 1 year at this point. Now, understand the season hasn't started, and he has already took 7 commitments. And he has offers out to even more 3-stars. So thanks, Todd. Appreciate it, man. Great question, though.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
All right, X, real quick, who we got coming in this weekend to watch Alabama play Middle Tennessee State?
Yes, sir. So as far as uncommitted players, we have the 5-star Terry Bussey, the athlete out of Texas. We've been talking about him the last couple of weeks. Going to be interesting to see how his recruitment plays out between Alabama, Texas, and Oklahoma. 4-star offensive lineman Edwin Favor out of Georgia. Big lineman, 6'7", 340. Guy can make moves, as well as Solomon Williams, 4-star defensive lineman out of Florida. 2020 entire quarterback out of Tennessee. 2025 defensive lineman Elijah Griffin out of Georgia. 2025 running back Jordan Davison out of California. And 2025 edge Zion Grady out of Charles Henderson down in Troy, Alabama. Then, of course, guys that we have committed to Bama so far, Jalen Mbakwe out of Odom out of Georgia, Casey Poe out of Texas, Sterling Dixon down at Spanish Ford, Amari Jefferson out of Tennessee, Caden Jones out of North Carolina, Justin Okonkwo, who I mentioned earlier, from Germany, Red Morgan from Phoenix City, Jacob Patrick Jr. from Gaston City, Lindsey from Jay Lindsey out of Patrician Academy in Butler, and 2025 wide receiver Ryan Williams from Saraland.
Yeah, there's a slew of guys coming in. That's good for Alabama to kick things off as they face Middle Tennessee State. And we'll let you know what those guys have to say after week 1 of the Alabama football season as they kick things off against Middle Tennessee State. Coming back on the other side, we'll get Robert in. We want to talk about doubts on Alabama football. We'll also talk about, I think that Nick Saban made the best comment he could have ever made for the Alabama football season when he talked about Deontay Lawson. If you missed it, we'll play it back for you. You listen to the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks at the moment, and traffic fairly light around the area. Now, if you do see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. $7,000 off every in-stock Titan, Titan XD, and Armada. Now through Thursday at Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. And I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. With the U.S. Supreme Court's Roe versus Wade ruling leaving abortion laws up to the states, Alabama has one of the toughest laws in the nation. Now, Attorney General Steve Marshall vowing to go after those who assist women who go outside Alabama for an abortion. A lawsuit filed in July alleges Marshall violated free speech rights when he said that individuals could be charged with conspiracy for helping women get abortions out of state. A judge is scheduled a hearing on that suit next Tuesday. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. I'm Don Hartley.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of The Game, we'll talk to Aaron Torres. We'll talk to Bruce Marshall, a professional handicapper. We'll get the latest from Vegas and a lot more. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, all starting at 2 o'clock here on The Game on Tide 100.9, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Hey, this is Reagan, owner of R&R Cigars, the Cigar Mansion in downtown Tuscaloosa, located at 2703 6th Street across from the Home 2 Suites. Come down to R&R and see why we're the ultimate cigar and bourbon experience. With over 165 bourbons and 5 private barrels, our selection of bourbon is unmatched. We have the best cocktails around and our cigar selection is legendary. Our lounge and service are world-class. Come and experience the luxury of the mansion and see why it's a world-renowned cigar and spirits destination.
Turn your home into restricted airspace. Tell incoming flights you want them diverted. The new Raid Essentials Light Trap plugs into the wall and uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. Its 24/7 continuous attraction provides insecticide-free protection that's people and pet friendly. Consider air service interrupted. New Raid Essentials Light Trap. Insecticide-free protection.
Join Tide 100.9 this Friday from 12 to 2 for Fridays at the Free. Come see Lars Anderson and Matt Coulter for Big Noon Sports live at Innisfree Irish Pub, Tuscaloosa's best bar for 25 years and counting. Innisfree's Irish Pub has delicious pub food with an Irish flair. Come have the Innisfree Lucky Lunch, a delicious meat and three, while Lars and Matt get you ready for the Bama game this weekend. Fridays at the Free, every Friday during football season with Tide 100.9 and Innisfree Irish Pub, located at 1925 University Boulevard, downtown Tuscaloosa.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
I think, Deontay's done a really, really good job. He's kind of taken over the signal caller duties for which I think is a huge responsibility, but yet something that is probably the most important thing, especially for the front seven in terms of alignment, adjustment, calls that need to get made, whether you're pressuring and getting lined up the right way to play, whether it's to or away from the back. And a lot of guys, they're a little apprehensive about taking on that responsibility, and he's very confident in it. He's done a great job of it. He's played really well, set a great example in terms of how he practices, how he plays, how he communicates. And I think that's been, a significant improvement in how we played up front on defense. And it'll be important that we can continue that throughout the season.
That's Coach Nick Saban talking about Deontay Lawson. I'm telling you, Bama fans, that is the most important clip of the offseason. I'm going to tell you why in just a moment, but let's get to Robert. Robert, you're in on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind?
Hey, guys.
Hey, whoa, Blast. Blast from the past, baby. What's up, man?
I knew you'd get me on that.
Good. Hey, listen. Hey, everybody has an off season, man. You just been training. You've been training. You've been getting ready. you've been getting slimmed down. Hey, listen. Hey, look, when's the kickoff? Bam! It's game week now, Robert. It's game week. Robert from Mobile is back in the show. I mean, we can. Hey, X, release the balloons, man. What's up, man?
Hey, I always like to keep things, have this definition and define things before, so like we understand what we're talking about. When we say the word doubt, because the word doubt can mean a whole bunch of things. And of course, the doubt for Alabama fans is, one thing. Since the Saban era, the doubt is, can we win a championship this year? Oh, that's what I doubt, but that's what it is. For everybody else, doubt is, hey, can we win 10? And not Alabama. It's, can we win the big one? And that's where all the doubt's coming from, is, okay, do we have a team that can win the big one, especially when we didn't win the big one last year? And, of course, that's a doubt. Of course, if you come in this season expecting to win the big one, I think that's an unrealistic expectation. It's with all this thing hanging over the team, I think, it'd be great. But if that's your expectation, you might want to dial that back a bit, because there's a lot going on that it's unprecedented. And here's the thing: the last time we had this much doubt in a quarterback was the Jay Coker era, when it was this up in the air and this doubtful. And or you could say the Jalen Hurts era, although Jalen Hurts ended that pretty quick when he replaced Blake Barnett. But it's just this wide open. When we won that championship, and that was a championship year, despite all that doubt and despite that setback we had against Ole Miss. But Georgia was still overrated, and Tennessee was a basket case, and there was no really great teams out there that can we really beat this team? Alabama, as long as they played their game, they could win. But now, this is legit. Tennessee's not a basket case. Georgia is not overrated. Ohio State is really good. And if you mess up too much, Texas A&M and LSU can take you down. That's what all these, and you come in here with a quarterback controversy, and you still aren't certain who your number one receiver is. Yeah, there's doubt. I think you're crazy if you don't doubt. And again, if the doubt for Alabama is, can we win the championship? Of course there's doubt.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, though, Robert. What's the difference, though, between Alabama and Georgia? Georgia lost more players on their defense than Alabama did. They lost their quarterback. They lost their offensive coordinator.
Georgia fans should be doubting too. I think Georgia should be doubting too.
And I think that's what I've been trying to tell Alabama fans. Yes, we should have doubt, but it's like everybody else is totally ignoring the fact that Ohio State lost a 3-year starter at quarterback. Lost their number one wide receiver, but they have the different. Ohio State has a guy that was on their team that was a proven number one. Georgia did bring in a couple of guys that have played SEC that were number one. Our number one guy, Malik Benson, didn't play SEC ball. He was a JUCO guy. So I understand the question there. But everywhere else, I'm thinking Texas A&M is Texas A&M. Texas A&M could be the best thing ever, or it could be 5-7.
Exactly.
But then the last one, but like Tennessee to me is they have a question at quarterback, and their defense will progressively get worse under Heupel. I'm telling you. So I guess, and to your point,
their wide receivers,
and they lost their wide. Good point. And so the thing of it is, to me, this is probably the most open, in my opinion, the college football has been.
Absolutely. And that's what we've been shooting for. I mean, we haven't been shooting for it here in Alabama. We've been enjoying things, the status quo.
Right.
For the rest of college football, this is what everybody's wanted. Yeah, we got this open competition. This open, anybody can win any given Sunday, and anybody can win the championship this year. And NIL, but folks don't like it, was the catalyst, and the transfer portal were the catalyst that made this possible. Yeah. Now, it's tough for us because we were enjoying, these captured players that couldn't go anywhere. But rest of college football, hey, this is here it is.
And let me ask you this, Robert: is the biggest threat to me? Is the biggest threat LSU versus Georgia?
You're talking about as far as what?
Potential this year, because the reality of it is I don't see Georgia being this offensive juggernaut. I think Kirby's going to have a good defensive team like he always does. I'm not sold on Bobo and Beck. On the other hand, can Brian Kelly do what everybody else has done? Brian Kelly is a really good coach. Saban jumped up in his second year. Urban Meyer jumped up in his second year. Kirby jumped up in his second. You see what I'm saying? Like, is this the year? Because they have their returning quarterback. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if anybody got to watch that Perkins kid down at LSU. He is Will Anderson with great coaching.
Right.
Harold Perkins.
Yes. That dude is a game changer, game wrecker. And he's good. Hey, man, they just told me I got 90 seconds, Robert. So I guess I better let you go, man. Hey, it is good to have you back. I'm looking forward to the combo.
All right, guys.
Hey, love the calls when Robert called in. Always going to give us some intellect there. X, take a quick 15 and tell us you're going to be back with us tomorrow, hopefully. But you got anything real quick?
No, I mean, I think that's a great way to end the show on questioning. Everybody's concerned about Georgia when it comes from Alabama fans, but LSU might be the biggest question mark on the season. It's because they've got their quarterback back. They've got their top wide receiver. They've got a Will Anderson type player on defense. Are they the dark horse for this year?
Absolutely. Hey, we'll talk about it tomorrow. LSU. Are they the threat? We're going to talk about that Deontay Lawson. I'm going to play it back. That may be the most important conversation because that is the quarterback that no one's talked about. And Alabama has a willing quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to have score prediction. We're going to have keys to victory. We're going to have Alabama wins. If all of that conversation and more on a free-for-all Friday right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of the show. Thanks to X. Thanks to Pat. Thanks to Robert for getting back in on it. Thanks to Thad and Todd. And thanks to you. And this is the Martin Houston Show. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Catch you on tomorrow. Roll Tide out there, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center.